Hello, my name is Lucas. I never expected to be telling a story like this. My life had always been predictable. Some might even call it boring. I had a steady job in IT, lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood in Sacramento, California, and was married to a woman I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with. Her name was Lisa. We'd been together for a little over a decade, and I believed in what we had. We had our routines, our inside jokes, and a shared history that I was certain could withstand any obstacle. But I was wrong. It began with subtle changes. Lisa became overly attached to her phone, often giggling at messages before quickly locking the screen whenever I came near. The device became a third person in the room, constantly demanding her attention. She started dressing up more frequently, even for simple errands. A new perfume, something floral and unfamiliar, lingered in the air after she left the house. At first, I told myself not to overthink it. Maybe she was catching up with old friends or trying something new. But when she began coming home later and later, always with vague excuses like traffic was a nightmare, or I just lost track of time, the uneasy feeling in my chest became impossible to ignore. It was a cold, coiling sensation, a premonition of something terrible. One evening, while she was in the shower, I gave in to my suspicions and checked her phone. My heart hammered against my ribs as I typed in her passcode. I felt a surge of guilt, a sense of violating our trust, but it was quickly overshadowed by the gnawing need to know the truth. What I discovered made my stomach churn. There were dozens of messages from someone named Ethan. These weren't innocent conversations. They were flirtatious, filled with private jokes, plans to meet, and thinly veiled intimacy. One message read, "Counting the minutes until I see you again. My beautiful escape." Another was a photo of a restaurant table with 2 glasses of wine, a clear date. It was crystal clear this was more than just a friendship. Lisa had been unfaithful in every way. I confronted her that night. She didn't deny it. Instead, she met my anger with tears and a flood of justifications that felt rehearsed. "We've grown apart," she said, her voice wavering. "Ethan makes me feel alive again. You're always buried in work." The words stung worse than I expected. I had worked hard for us, for our life together, for the home we'd built. I thought she understood that, but the blow didn't stop there. She told me she wasn't ending things with Ethan. She needed space, time, to sort out her emotions, as if our marriage was a messy closet she could simply step away from and deal with later. Her words felt like a rejection of our entire past, a dismissal of everything we had shared. What truly broke me happened a few days later. The doorbell rang. Lisa answered, and there he stood, Ethan in the flesh, tall, self-assured, with the swagger of a man who never hears the word no. He wore an expensive-looking suit and a smirk that felt both entitled and condescending. I could instantly tell I despised him. He walked into my house like he owned it, his eyes scanning the living room as if appraising the furniture. Lisa looked uncomfortable but said nothing, a passive observer in her own home. He gave me a patronizing smile as if we were old acquaintances. "You must be Jack," he said, extending a hand. I didn't take it. "I know exactly who you are. The real question is, what are you doing in my home?" He laughed, turning to Lisa. "Babe, I think he's still under the impression this is his house." The word babe in my kitchen, my fists clenched, but I held myself back. Getting angry wouldn't solve anything. It would only give him the reaction he craved. Lisa tried to defuse the situation, but Ethan brushed her aside with a possessive gesture. "I just wanted to meet the guy who somehow managed to let someone like you slip through his fingers." Every word he spoke was designed to provoke, to belittle me in my own space. He leaned against my kitchen counter like it was his own, crossing his arms with an air of complete dominance. "Nice place, Jack, but let's be real, I'm the alpha now." That word, alpha, felt like a slap, a blatant assertion of his perceived superiority. And Lisa, the woman I had spent over a decade with, said nothing to defend me. That moment was my turning point. This wasn't just betrayal. It was public humiliation, and I wasn't about to let it continue. I didn't react that night, but I didn't sleep either. My mind, usually focused on logical IT solutions, was now entirely consumed by a new problem: how to dismantle this man's life with the same precision he had used to dismantle mine. I could have yelled, gotten physical, or broken things, but none of that would fix anything. I needed something more precise, more devastating. Over the next week, I became obsessed. I used my skills to dig into Ethan's life, and it wasn't difficult. He was a real estate agent who loved showing off online flashy suits, luxury listings, and constant self-promotion on every social media platform. Beneath the surface, though, I found cracks, poor reviews, scathing client complaints, and a reputation for arrogance. He had a history of unprofessional behavior, from getting drunk at industry events to making inappropriate comments about clients. Most of all, I found a fragile, inflated ego that was built on a foundation of lies and a carefully curated online presence. In the meantime, I played the part of the wounded husband. I gave Lisa the space she had asked for. I acted numb and distracted, exactly what she expected. My silence became a weapon, a form of emotional distance that lulled them into a false sense of security. Then I made my move. I invited both of them, Lisa and Ethan, over for dinner. They seemed surprised, but I presented it as a chance to be mature about the situation and move forward. Ethan agreed immediately, eager to gloat and savor his victory, no doubt. Dinner was tense. The air was thick with unspoken words, but I played the part of the gracious host, smiling and nodding as I listened to Ethan talk about his latest sales and praise his accomplishments. He spoke with the confidence of a man who believed he had won, completely unaware of the trap he was walking into. Lisa looked relieved, convinced I had accepted her choices and that the situation would now be civilized. Then, as we cleared the dishes, I invited them into the living room. "There's something I'd like to show you," I said. Ethan raised an eyebrow but followed. I connected my laptop to the TV and began. "Ethan, you're right," I said, my voice calm. "You are the alpha of something." He chuckled, thinking I was finally conceding. "Glad you're seeing the light, Jack." I hit play. The screen lit up with a video compilation I had meticulously created. It was a dramatic, damning reel, complete with a soundtrack of cheesy, motivational music that made his words sound even more ridiculous. The video showed clips and screenshots from his own social media, juxtaposed with client reviews complaining about his behavior. There was footage of him drunk at a bar yelling at a waiter, a recorded phone call of him mocking clients behind their backs, and screenshots of his questionable business practices. His face drained of color as he watched his carefully constructed image crumble before his eyes. "What the hell is this?" he demanded, his voice trembling with a mixture of fear and rage. "Your highlight reel," I said calmly, "and I've shared it with your employer, your clients, and the real estate board." As if on cue, his phone buzzed with message after message. He looked down and swore under his breath, his face a mask of panic. "You bastard." "Watch your tone," I interrupted, my voice firm. "The entire evening is being recorded. Wouldn't want to make it worse for yourself." He looked to Lisa, expecting support, but she was staring at me in shock, silent. Her expression was unreadable regret, maybe even a hint of admiration. "Jack, this is insane," she finally said. "You didn't have to do all this." I turned to her, my voice calm but firm. "You let this man into my house. You stood by while he insulted me. I just returned the favor with interest." Ethan stormed out, his phone still lighting up with the collapse of his image. Lisa stayed behind, crying. I don't know what to say." "Then don't," I told her. "Just leave." After that, everything unraveled for them, at least. Ethan's career took a nosedive. The real estate board launched a formal inquiry and clients backed out. His online presence became a cautionary tale. Lisa tried to make amends, said she was sorry, and asked if we could start over. But I was done. Some things can't be rebuilt. I filed for divorce and slowly began putting the pieces of my life back together. It wasn't easy, but with every day that passed, I felt a little stronger. As for Ethan, word is he relocated and tried to rebrand himself in a new city. But I doubt he'll ever forget what happened in that living room. Because in the end, I didn't just protect my pride. I reminded myself that I still had worth. And that's a kind of revenge no one can take away.